to the verse-by-verse study of the book of Proverbs. We shall begin chapter 29 today with a godly, stern warning about our mindset. Whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly, without warning, be destroyed without remedy, meaning the consequences will be carried out. This term stiff-necked means consistently, pridefully self-righteous, close-minded, have a mindset and an attitude of arrogance, hard-hearted, unwilling to even listen or consider God's loving encouragement, guidance, and wisdom. This person instead they consistently mock, look down upon, reject, even have contempt for God and those that follow God. The warning is at some point, a very, very patient God will finally remove his hand of protection of this person and allow their bad choices to have the bad consequences, and those consequences will be sudden. Next, we have a repeated verse. When the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. When we have a caring, compassionate, capable person that has godly integrity, they become the boss, people have hope, and they rejoice. And the opposite is true. When a person that lacks integrity gains power, the people groan because they lose hope and confidence in the future. Another repeated verse from chapters 11 and also 28, reminding us that the person that chooses to walk in godly wisdom, they will not only bring blessings to themselves, but also joy and blessings to those that care about them. We have a man who loves wisdom brings joy to his father and mother, but a companion of prostitutes squanders his wealth. Again, we see that choice throughout Proverbs, a life choice, either the straight path or the crooked path. Here's an example of prostitution or pornography. It could have been gambling or drinking, any number of activities that are destructive and habitual and addictive. Choices that squander not only your time and wealth, but also your opportunities, as well as create deep damaging to others, especially those close to you. Next, we have, by justice, a king gives a country stability, but those who are greedy, meaning unethical, for bribes, which result in favoring one group over another, tear it down. Whether it's a country or a business or even a family, corruption and unequal treatment causes within that organization division and unrest, and therefore undermines its stability. It weakens the foundation of the organization, and eventually that organization is doomed. Those who flatter, smooth talkers, their neighbors are spreading nets for their feet. The warning here is beware of flattery. There's often a hidden agenda. Spreading a net means or implies there's some sort of trap or attempt to manipulate. Evildoers are snared by their own sin, but the righteous shout for joy and are glad. Throughout Proverbs, there's this consistent warning to those that plot to do harm to others, that very often that harm will harm themselves. They will get snared or caught in their own lies or in their own traps that they set for others. As a result of this continuous risk, these folks must walk and talk with anxiety. And they've got to look over their shoulder, as opposed to those that walk blameless. They can walk with joy. They sleep well because they have nothing to hide. The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. No such concern. In the original language, the Hebrew language, there's two different words for this word care and this word concerned. And they're both equally linked. And it has to do with the mindset of our choice of mindset. Caring here means to have a sincere heart of compassion for others. And this word concern is having a mindset of seeing that person, not only caring for that person, but seeing that person as an equal. Rather than pitying that person, having pity, you have empathy. Knowing, but by the grace of God, that could be you or me. As opposed to having this mindset of indifference or looking down on that person, seeing them as someone lesser, unimportant because they're poor. Justice means that we're called to treat and view everyone fairly and equally and with dignity. Mockers stir up a city, but the wise turn away anger. Here we have the literal translation. Translation is that a mocker fans a flame that can burn up a city. The mocker is anyone that attempts to divide, to agitate, rather than to unite. The mocker is the one that rejects another person because they have a different point of view. Instead, they ridicule that person. They have this prideful mindset that I'm smarter than you, and therefore you're dismissed. And they create personal attacks and accusations against that person because of their position. They focus only on negatives, just to stir up dissent and to gain power for themselves and to serve their own personal agenda and pride. Instead, the wise here have a mindset that's humble. They're willing to listen to others. They sincerely want to learn. And they're looking for a win-win situation. Their mindset brings reason and trust and peace to a situation. But there are limits, as noted in verse 9. If a wise person goes to court with a fool, the fool rages and scoffs, and there is no peace. The wisdom here is saying that there are indeed times when it's not prudent. There is no point in arguing with a fool because it only serves their agenda. They have no desire to listen and to reason. They only want a platform to rage and scoff at your expense. The old adage is true. You often simply end up with their fleas. Next, the bloodthirsty hate. They have a mindset of this deep emotional personal hate for a person of who? Of integrity, and seek to kill or to silence the upright. Many folks argue that the Christian has a mindset of intolerance. The reality is, the truth is, it is the unrighteous that have the intolerance. In fact, God's wisdom teaches us that we're supposed to separate a person's actions or their position from the person. God, like any loving parent, may dislike a behavior, but that does not mean they dislike the person. But a closed-minded, self-righteous person not only dislikes the person's position because it's not their own, they also make it personal. They take it personally and dislike the person. A good example in Scripture is the Jewish leadership, the Sanhedrin. Recall that they disagreed with Jesus' moral teachings, and that hatred led them to plot to have Jesus murdered by the Romans, to silence him. Why? Because they felt threatened. The unrighteous are often threatened by the righteous because their conscience tells them they're wrong. Fools give full vent to their rage, meaning fools cannot control their temper. But the wise bring calm in the end. They bring calm to the situation. I don't know about you, but I have found in my many years that when I make decisions or speak words when I'm angry, it does not end well. That's really never been a good idea. In fact, as stated here, I've always found it to be clearly foolish. A mindset of anger only adds to a problem. It never solves a problem. Lastly, another fact in organizational behavior. If a ruler, a boss, listens to lies, meaning gossip, half-truths, all his officials, his managers, become wicked. The ethics, the core values of any organization, any family, any company, any kingdom are established, created by the leader. If that boss encourages folks to have a culture of lies, gossip, half-truths, spying, backstabbing, favoritism within the organization, that's the type of leaders, type of managers that organization will attract and develop. As we've discussed before, over time, bad company always can corrupt good character. Well, we shall close it there and finish up chapter 29 next week. Until then, may God bless you, bless your family with both His grace and peace. Aloha.